Welcome to my garage. The reason I'm here today is because I have wool. Look at all this wool. I was gonna do this outside, but it's really windy today. So basically, essentially, a friend of mine got given some wool by a neighbour. I think the neighbour hired some sheep to like help mow their lawn. The sheep obviously need shearing. I think the wool was just gonna get thrown in landfill or something. So the neighbour was just like, no, I'll take it. I'm sure I can find someone who wants it. So anyway, she asked around, like, do you know anyone who would want this wool? And yeah, this friend was like, yeah, I do actually. It is me. So I have 3 fleeces. I've never processed a fleece before. I am really excited to have a look at these, to wash them, process them, spin them. I've been starting to research how to clean them, how to scour them. There are a lot of different methods. I just wanted to have a look at the wool. I've not got the wool out of the bags that they were in yet. I don't know, I just want to look at it. I want to look at it. Right, you actually can't see the table. I'm gonna put a big piece of cardboard on it to protect it, also so that then hopefully I can actually lay out the fleeces fully. Oh god, it's really sticky. I knew it would be like lanolin-y and greasy. Oh, it's sticky. Huh, wow. It smells so woolly. How do I unroll this? How do I flatten this out? I don't know. It's so sticky. I was not prepared for how sticky this would feel. Oh, it feels weird. It feels weird. I'm not sure how much I like this actually. Oh, there's a stick in it. That's a legit stick. My friend said that there are 2 Svartbliss fleeces here and 1 grey Suffolk. I think this one is the grey Suffolk. This is a lot of wool. I only have hand carders and drop spindles, so this is gonna be fun. Wow. Oh, a literal bit of conifer. This is a lot of wool. And this one looks like it'll be one of the 2 Svartbliss fleeces. I've seen other people lay out wool in the shape of the sheep, but I didn't manage to figure out how to do that with any of these. But first, if you're new here, hi, I'm Beth. I'm a fibre artist, knitter, writer and all-round creative, and I make videos all about the magic and mindfulness of making, so as to, hopefully, inspire you to live more creatively. Now, let's get on with today's crafting adventure! I knew the first step to processing a fleece was to skirt it, that is, remove any vegetal matter and unwanted wool. This is the step I had researched the least, so I didn't really know what I was doing. So my skirting was rather rudimentary, and I only removed the bits that I definitely knew weren't meant to be there. The sticks and big bits of hay, bits that I thought were matted, and any bits of manure I found. In some places, I struggled to tell which bits were dirty wool that I should get rid of, as opposed to wool that's just naturally dark coloured. I was a bit scared to get rid of too much wool, or accidentally discard wool that was actually good quality, thanks to not really knowing what to look for, so I sort of erred on the side of caution. I figured I could always sort the wool more thoroughly later if needed. It was windier than I thought it was, which made me worry about bits of wool blowing away, and there were far too many bits of hay for me to thoroughly get them all out on this day, and to be honest, I was kind of impatient to get to washing the fleece. So I decided to call it good enough and get started. A couple of the methods I saw online for washing a fleece involved at least 1 soak in cold water before scouring, so that's what I decided to do first. I decided doing the whole fleece at once would be a bit too much for me to manage, so I went with maybe a bit over half. In retrospect, this was still too much for me to manage at once. I then stored this away overnight to soak. That's heavy. Oh my god, that's heavy. Okay, so welcome to my bathroom. It's pretty windy outside, and also I wasn't really sure how I was going to sort out the whole hot water situation if I was doing this outside. So I've brought the box of wool inside. I think I'm going to need to separate it into smaller bits. I'm still not really sure how I'm going to do this. So the basic consensus of what I've read online is hot water, soap, leave it for a bit, and then rinse it out. Now someone did say don't wash the lanolin water down the drain, because once the water cools, the lanolin will set again. I'd rather be safe than sorry. I don't want lanolin stuck in my drains, really. So I guess that means I'm going to be going downstairs and outside to get rid of the water once I get the wool out of it, which is going to be fun, but that's a problem for later me, I guess. So first of all, let's get the wool out of this tub. If I put it there, maybe. I think I might also want to get out some more of the twigs and bits now, rather than later. I don't know what I'm doing. Sticks. Actually, you know what, maybe if I get it out and separate it into smaller bits, and then it'll be a bit easier to sort through. Because right now there's just so much wool, it's slightly unmanageable. Okay, so I think I've decided what I'm going to do. I've taken that big container downstairs, and I think I am instead going to use, whoops, this, an old bowl. It's quite small. I'm going to start with just a really small piece, I think. So I've brought up some dish soap and a glove because it's going to be too hot for me to touch. Only one because I couldn't find the other one. So yeah, I guess I will, let's pop that in there. And let's pop some dish soap in it. I've got the kettle on downstairs. That will be ready in a minute. I don't want it fully boiling, so I'll boil it and let it cool, I guess. So I guess for now I'm just gonna pick a bit of wool and pick all of the bits out of it, I guess. Problem is I don't really know which bits are the good bits and which bits aren't. This looks quite nice, I think. I'm kind of going for these ones that look like curly locks. That's what I'm going for. I don't know if that's right. I don't know, does that then mean that so much of the rest of it is going to go to waste? Or at least not be spinnable? I don't know. What about this? It looks quite woolly, but it's also quite short. So like, do I want that? Do I not want that? I don't know. Okay, I think that's enough for a bowl of that size. What do we think? I'm gonna go get the kettle. Yep, that was quite hot. I might put a little bit of cold water in, just in case, because I don't want it to melt. Let's pop this in a dryer. I'm gonna just let it sink in a moment, and then I'll press it if needed. So you want to be, I believe, very gentle with it, because otherwise it will felt. It's funny, I was felting just earlier today, so it's the exact opposite reaction of what I'm wanting to happen now. Also, yeah, this bowl does have a crack in the bottom, which is why there was masking tape over the bottom, and I think it's leaking. So that's not great. I didn't think it was leaking earlier, but maybe it's leaking now, I guess. This is a slight press. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Okay, and now we leave it for some time. One place said to leave it for half an hour, but a lot of other places say to leave it for 15 minutes. So 15 minutes? I mean, I'm a bit worried that all my water will have leaked out by then. 15 minutes. I'm going to set my alarm for 15 minutes. Okay, see you then. Editing Beth here, just to say that this is a pretty chaotic video, and I realise that most of the explaining I do is dotted throughout the video and sometimes isn't complete or necessarily particularly coherent. And while I do, for integrity's sake, want to show you the true process of doing this for the very first time, including the bits where I'm confused and overwhelmed by something that is not as complicated as I made it in my head, I do also want to give a proper explanation of everything I'm doing in this video and why. Having said that, if you do want to give this a go yourself, there are plenty of videos, blogs and articles out there made by people far more informed and experienced than I am. I'll put links to those in the description so you can check those out. Now, most of the guides I found online followed a very similar template. Soak in very hot water with soap or wool wash to get the lanolin out, which is the bit called scouring. Then soak in clean hot water to kind of rinse the wool, and repeat this as many times as you need to get the wool clean. Now, the soap and hot water will get the lanolin off the wool, but apparently if the water cools too much, the lanolin can actually reattach itself to the wool. So not only does the water need to be hot enough when you first put the wool in, but it needs to stay hot enough for however long you leave it soaking. Be that 15 minutes as some sources suggest, or half an hour as others suggest. Speaking of lanolin, once it's cooled, it can set, so you don't really want to pour that down your drain. The other most important point here is about avoiding felting the wool. The water has to be hot in order to remove the grease, but as you'll know if you do any kind of wool crafting, or if you've seen any of my wet felting videos, heat and water are two of the three main ingredients for turning your wool into felt. Now obviously I do not want to felt this wool because I am wanting to spin this wool into yarn. So we want to avoid the third ingredient for felting at all costs: agitation. Under no circumstances do we want to create any friction because that is when we will get felted wool. So once it's wet, we just want to be really gentle with it. Also, my understanding was simply that hot water is what's needed to make it felt, but apparently it's more complicated than that. Apparently it is actually the sudden changes in temperature that cause wool to felt, and apparently room temperature to hot is fine, so long as you don't agitate it, but hot water to cold, apparently that's what's more likely to felt your wool. So when you rinse your wool, you want to use hot water, not cold, a similar kind of temperature to the temperature of the water that you use to scour it. You also want to add the wool to the water, not the other way around. Primarily this is to avoid temperature shock, but I feel like it probably also helps avoid agitation. And yeah, I didn't know any of that. I found that really interesting to learn about being more about the change in temperature, the temperature shock that causes felting rather than just the heat on its own. And yeah, I'd definitely be interested in doing more research, maybe trying some experiments around what will or won't make wool felt. Now, although most of the guides I looked at agreed to some extent on the general principles, they did differ on some specifics, such as the setup they used, how long to leave it, what soap they prefer, how many times to rinse it, whether or not they soak it in cold water at any point in the process, how many cold soaks to do, and so on. Basically just a lot of little nitty-gritty details that were different in between all the different guides. So yeah, this left me on one hand fairly sure on what to do, since most sources did at least somewhat agree on the general process, but on the other hand, it also left me feeling pretty uncertain and overwhelmed about all the specifics and all the details. I was also quite worried about the logistics, since a number of guides talked about equipment they have specifically for scouring fleece, which I do not have. In fact, at first I didn't even think I had a plastic tub I could wash the wool in, and since I wanted to try and do this without buying anything new, I thought I was going to have to wash wool in the bath, which might have been fine, except I'd have to work out how to wash it in the bath without getting any lanolin down the drains. I don't know how I would have done that. I think I was considering doing very small batches using mixing bowls from the kitchen. Thankfully I did manage to find a suitable plastic tub in the garage, and it was even already empty, so I didn't even have to empty it, so I just used that. And that worked pretty well. I feel like it maybe would have worked better if I'd have had two, and then I could have one tub to wash the wool in, and then I can transfer it, empty out the water, put new water in, transfer it back. But you know, I did manage to figure out a solution that worked. So yeah, okay, back to the video now, I guess. Right, okay, it's been 15 minutes. And yeah, it looks like the hastily mended bowl is now no longer mended. It looks like the tape on the bottom has failed. And I think most of the water has already drained out, so I don't know how... I don't know. This might all have gone terribly wrong. Oh, there is still some water in there. Some. Wow, that's dirty water. Wow, look at that. It's still quite warm. So that's good, I think. I don't know. Oh, I've spotted some leaves in there that I missed. Ideally, I would take this back downstairs to drain it outside. But given that it's leaking, I don't know if... Am I going to get dirty sheep water all over my house? I don't know. Maybe I am. Wouldn't that be fun? And that can go outside. And now that's all full of water, let's pop that in there to rinse. And I can hear it leaking again. So let's just leave that in there for a bit, I guess. This is just hot water from the tap, so it's not as hot as the water from the kettle was. I don't know how long to leave this. Do I leave this for 15 minutes as well? Maybe? I don't know. I think I will. It's been a bit more than 15 minutes. Whoops. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, still pretty dirty. I think we need another rinse. Should we do another rinse or should we do another wash? Also, I might do this in a different container, one that doesn't leak. Right, so I've brought the big tub upstairs with me, and I think I'm gonna just like chuck maybe half that fleece that I have over there in with some hot water and some soap, because I'm realising that probably I don't want to leave that, you know, all of that over here. All of that is damp. It's all wet. I don't think I want to leave that wet, do I? I don't think I really want that to dry unless it's clean. And I don't want to leave it to dry in that big lump. And I don't really know what to do with it if it's wet and not clean. So I think I need to get it all clean as soon as possible. So I think I'm gonna try and do that in 2 halves. Or then again, maybe I could pop it back in the container and do another cold soak overnight so that I'm not doing all of this in one day, just because I don't want to do it all in one day. And I was thinking maybe it needed another cold soak because the water was still really dirty. And I did see one lady who did like a bunch of cold soaks. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm doing. And that is just dripping dirty woolly water right into my bath. Please don't felt. For some reason it occurs to me only now that I should have made a more detailed plan in advance. But I guess we need to carry on now. This is why people use those mesh bags. to contain the wool, I guess. Alas, if only I had one. It occurs to me that maybe some of this might end up felted since I'm kind of having to agitate it to even get it out in the first place. I don't know though, we'll see, won't we? I think that's most of it, so I'm gonna go and chuck this out in the garden. So I'm doing this up here in this bathroom, the upstairs bathroom, because I didn't want the whole house to smell of wool. But I've just carried a big heavy tub full of water without a lid because the lid is here with more wool on it. I've just carried it down 2 flights of stairs and managed to succeed in not splashing it everywhere. And I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. That was hard, actually, and heavy, and my fingers kind of hurt now from gripping the tub. So I'm gonna take everything downstairs and do this in the kitchen, I think. After I've done all this, I'm gonna put that back in to soak in another cold wash because I'm not gonna have time to do this all this evening. But first, that pile of wool down there needs a rinse, a hot rinse. While I'm prepping the water downstairs, I'm gonna get this out. Ooh, that's looking quite a bit cleaner. Here you can see me soaking this batch in hot, clean water to rinse it. Wool soup. I then scoured this batch a second time and rinsed it twice more before laying it out on a towel to dry overnight. I also put the second batch in cold water to soak overnight again. Here I am on my kitchen floor. It's the next day. I've left this to dry overnight and I haven't touched it since. I'm gonna check it now just to make sure it hasn't felted because I have the tub here with the other half of the wool. It's just in cold water, it's been soaking overnight for a second time. So as I said, I haven't touched this. I've been waiting until I have a good opportunity to start this whole process again. But basically I wanted to check that this had turned out okay, because if this has turned out okay then I can get started on the other batch of wool and just do the same thing, which is basically just hot water with soap for 15 minutes-ish, and then take it out, swap out the water for clean water, nothing in it, put it back in, leave it for 15 minutes, repeat at least once, and then do another rinse at the end. I think I maybe did I do 1 rinse or 2 rinses at the end with this one? I can't remember, I lost track of how many rinses I did, especially because I had this batch and then I had that little batch over there on the other towel. I don't know if you can see that. But I had my little test batch that I was doing it separately, and I've just gotten so confused, and then I ended up dreaming about wool and I don't know, I don't remember what I did fully, but anyway. I think that feels mostly dry. Actually, yeah, that's still a bit damp underneath. But I don't think it's felted, so that's nice. That seems to be coming apart quite nicely. And it doesn't feel too greasy, it just feels nice and woolly. That's good, that's good, okay. Okay, I think maybe I did okay. I think maybe I did a good job. Yeah, I can draft that. I can draft that. That's good. I prepped some fleece. Well, I washed some fleece. It still has prepping more to do. Okay, so that's good. This means I can get started on the other batch. And I've touched this and I'm not immediately feeling I need to wash my hands. It's not greasy at all, in fact. It's just nice and soft. And I can touch it and not feel like, ooh, what have I just touched? Now I need to start sorting batch number 2 out. Ooh, look at that. Brilliant. Right, so that's its first bath in hot water and soap. It is 20 to 3, so around 5 to 3 I'll start taking this out. I ran the tap into the tub a little bit too long before it heated up. I should have run it in the sink for longer to get it to heat up more. So it's not as hot as I would have liked it, but it is still definitely warm. Definitely quite hot. I did put 2 kettle loads in, so it might be a bit difficult for me to carry outside given the amount of water in there. But anyway, so I'm gonna leave this for a bit and I'm gonna go and start getting some bits out of the wool that's dry from yesterday. It's time to get the wool out of here and put some new water in. Right, so that is the first rinse done, is that right? Yeah, I've done one with soap and then this was the first rinse. So I'm just going to take this out now. And I thought I'd chat a minute about how I'm finding the process so far. So I think yesterday I was kind of panicking a bit because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what to expect, I don't know what's happening. And now that I've kind of had that little panic and now I'm doing it again, it's a bit like, okay, right, I kind of know the drill now, you know, I'm a bit more chill about it. Feel like I know what I'm doing, sort of. So while I've been waiting for this to stew, I've been I've been removing some of the bits from the clean dry wool that's behind you. I say clean. Clean. Been getting some bits out. Now, I've probably spent the best part of an hour on that now today. And I'll show you on screen now the difference between the tiny pile of mostly clean, mostly bit free wool versus the amount of wool that I've not got to yet is, yeah, there's quite a difference. Quite a difference. I'm probably not gonna be able to finish doing that today. I'm gonna have to, I think, just move the wool that I've not got to today out of the way so that when this needs to be laid out on the towel, I can lay it out on the towel. The fleeces aren't like kept clean, and because they're not like shearing them to sell the wool, they're shearing them just because they need shearing. They need a haircut, you know? So these fleeces have not been kept in like pristine condition so that they can be sold. Whereas if you buy a fleece, these I got free, and this is why I got them free. These fleeces were just going to get thrown away. They are very, very full of debris, full of twigs, full of leaves. It does make me curious about, I saw one method for washing fleece, which was a lady laid it out on the ground with netting over the top to keep it like from blowing away or washing away or whatever. And she just hosed it down, so I might try that with one of the other fleeces. And just see if that helps get rid of some of the debris, so I don't have to go through all of it by hand. Because I'm not even able to get all of it out. And I wonder if some of it is just that I'll have to get rid of those bits of wool that are really full of tiny bits of debris. What was I going to say, something else? Oh, I should have done these in smaller batches. I definitely should have done these in smaller batches, but I know that now. That's the lesson I've learned. Yeah, I kind of hoped that, because this batch has now had 2 cold rinses before I started scouring it. I hoped that that would help, but I don't know, this water still looks pretty dirty, and I think possibly on the same level as after this first rinse with the first batch yesterday, which only had 1 cold rinse. So I don't actually know if the second rinse did anything. I don't know though. It's still looking kind of soapy. There is definitely still some soap in there, but I'm gonna put it in for a second soap bath anyway. When I was researching, everyone was saying, oh, they put it in like lingerie bags or laundry bags or whatever you want to call them, like mesh bags to hold the wool together. I agree with that, definitely do that. This is tiresome. It would be much easier to just be able to lift the whole thing out, because this takes ages actually, doing it like this. And I'm going to get some proper strong arms from carrying tubs of water out to the garden. It's a good little workout, good little arm workout. So, about to start the second soapy bath. And there are 2 things that I want to bring up that I read online about felting. At least I think there's 2 things. Is it 2 things? Yeah, right. Okay, let's get it ready. First of all, apparently it's the temperature shock that felts wool, not necessarily the temperature itself, which is interesting, which I didn't know. And apparently it's better to go from cold to hot than hot to cold. Apparently hot to cold is what felts it, as in a sudden shift from hot to cold. And so far putting the wool here doesn't seem to cool it down enough to give it a shock when it then heats back up again. And the second thing is that apparently you always want to add the wool to the water, not the water to the wool. And yeah, I have to say I don't really know how any of this, I don't know like the science behind any of this, but this was the advice I was given and that didn't felt. So, you know, there's certainly something to say for it. Now some sites list specific temperatures that you want the water to be to scour it, to get all the lanolin out, which is what the soap is for. The soap is for getting the lanolin out. The site whose advice I'm following, the Woolery, doesn't list a specific temperature. It just says that the water should be hot enough that you can't touch it without a rubber glove on, which is why I've got the rubber glove on, because of the temperature of the water. The other thing about not felting is don't agitate it. So you want to press gently and then just leave it, basically. Yeah, just don't move it around too much. A lot of places, a lot of sites seem to follow kind of similar advice to that. And most seem to say like, oh, do, you know, at least 2 soapy baths and 2 rinses, or kind of something along those lines. Multiple washes with soap or scour, multiple rinses in clean water. And the clean water should be hot as well, so as to not shock the wool in terms of temperature changes. Most of the sites that I read gave the temperatures in Fahrenheit. Can't remember what they are, but I looked it up and the Celsius is around kind of 70 to 80 degrees, which is why I'm kind of doing hot water as hot as it can get out of my tap, and then topping that up with water from the kettle to get it like as hot as it can go. So yeah, that's kind of the general advice that I'm following, if you were wondering. If you are here looking for advice on how to do it yourself, I do recommend looking at other people's videos and other people's like blogs and web pages and articles and things like that, because this is the very first time I'm doing it. I don't know what I'm doing, really. I just kind of have a vague notion of what I've read online. Okay, so it's, gosh, it's already 4:05. Where's the time gone? Okay, I'm gonna leave that now. I would like to carry on with that, cleaning, getting all of the bits out of the wool I washed yesterday, but alas, I have other things I need to do. I'll see you in a bit. Whoop. Still not clean it, I guess. One more rinse. Looking pretty clean. Maybe not quite so clean as I thought it was. But I don't have time to wash this wool anymore today, so it'll do. And here I'm quickly putting the dry wool away so that I can now lay out the wet wool on the towel to dry. Right, so here I have the wool that I, picked all of the bits out of. this is how much I've got. Whoops, I'm dropping it. I still haven't finished picking out all of the bits of all of it. But here we have a bunch of clean Sparkblers fibre. It is quite like varied. We've got these nice, hello focus please. Got these nice dark bits, these kind of curly bits, and we've got these grey bits, and we've got some kind of, yeah, some of these bits are a bit more hairy. But yeah, so I still have a long way to go with cleaning, as in getting all of the bits out. This is how much you saw in the video. I haven't done any more since I last filmed. You saw in the video how much wool I actually, you know, sat and picked all of the bits out. So there's still a lot of wool that is clean of lanolin and like just general dirt, but it still has lots of bits that need picking out. So the next step before I can spin this into yarn is to card it. I have some hand carders. So that'll be the next video in this little series. Another option is I could comb it. I don't have any combs though, I have carders. So that's what I will be doing next. I've just spotted another bit that I didn't pick out and I've lost it. Oh, there it is. The amount of this process that has just been me stopping whatever I'm doing to pick out bits of tree. Yeah, I don't know whether to separate out the colours or... it's just falling everywhere. I'm going to put it back in the little bag. Alright, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave it a like and a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. And also check out some of my other videos again if you haven't already. And until next time, happy crafting!